Hello, and welcome back to Small Town Music. We are kind of revamping some things,
We're
and
back.
yeah, took a year off, it's fine. Um, but
It's been
yeah,
it's been a big year.
yeah. If you had been following us before our time off, I had twins. Hazel and Eleanor are their names, and they are wonderful and crazy and exciting.
Yeah. And mobile already.
So mobile.
So mobile.
So that was a really big thing that happened. I was on maternity leave, just, figuring out like how to be a mom. Big deal. And then yeah, Laura was
I was holding down the fort here at school. And as things do all the time, if you've been teaching for any length of time, you know that things change all the time. So we figured now's a great time to just sort of take an episode to reintroduce ourselves, explain maybe how things have changed in our world, and we can get to know you again too.
all right. I will go ahead and start. So I'm Katie. I am a band and elementary music teacher here at the school where we work. I guess we'll try to not say the names specifically. Not that that many people listen, but anyway, yeah, it's fine. Don't
If
worry about it.
if you know, you know.
Um, so I graduated from IU in 2016. I did my student teaching here, so that was really nice. I got to just kind of scooch on into the job. But got my bachelor's in music ed at IU. I played the oboe, so bachelor's in music ed in instrumental and general music. And so I started teaching here, and I've been doing kind of half elementary general music, half middle school and high school band. And I recently, just a couple years ago, started the Greene County Community Band. So I'm now a community band director as well. I got my master's from Ball State online in 2022. So that was awesome and great. And I learned a lot. And I get slightly more pay, which is nice. I've already mentioned I have twin daughters, and they are just still little babies. Um, but yeah, that's also a fun journey that I could talk about. I have a cat named Smelly Cat. I feel very passionate about doing this podcast because I was so fortunate that I came here and immediately, I work with Laura and we became good friends very quickly and we connected really well, but not everyone has that. And we have seen in our area in particular, we have a lot of small town schools, small rural schools, and they come and go often. And I think part of that is just there's not as much connection and resources and help and information. And I know that I have found so much information about, like, oh, you have 27 alto saxophones in your band. How do you program for that? And I'm in the world of, I have 7 kids in my entire high school band. I am not kidding you. I have 7 to 9 kids possibly in my high school band next year. And so, how do you program for that? And there just wasn't as much information for that kind of thing. So, Laura and I wanted to get this started to give resources and help and information to all those wanting it. I like to go outdoors sometimes just to give more background information. I like baking and cooking and sometimes crocheting. I'm pretty mediocre at all of those things, but I enjoy them and they bring me happiness, and that's what's important.
So my name's Laura, and I just finished my 17th year teaching here, and I've only taught here. In fact, I graduated from here as well. So I have spent a lot of years in these hallowed halls. Um, so I also graduated from Indiana University. My degree, I have a Bachelor of Music Education in choral general music. Um, and then I got my master's from Indiana Wesleyan in 2020, actually in curriculum and instruction. So I kind of went the other direction for my master's. But that was a great program as well. Did that entirely online so that we could continue to work and teach and do family and all of that. Um, I have 2 kids. I have a son, Wilson, who is, gosh, going into middle school this year, which is insane, and a daughter, Ellie, who is getting ready to go into 4th grade. So they're great because Wilson's joining band next year.
I'm very excited.
And Ellie loves to play the piano, and they're both in choir, so that's really fun to get to not only share with my students but with my own kids as well. Um, and so my day is, well, this last year was almost entirely elementary because, like I said, I was kind of covering in with Katie being gone.
And my maternity sub, which I love him dearly, and he's wonderful, and I'm so thankful he helped. But he was like, absolutely no elementary. I'm not working on Fridays. I'm not working on the afternoons, and I'm not doing elementary. And they were like, hey, great, you'll keep the band afloat. And sometimes that happens.
And so, but it was great. It worked out. I had a fantastic year with all the elementary, but now next year I'll be looking at um, doing about half my day in elementary and the other half of my day in sixth and seventh grade music. So that'll be new. Those will both be relatively new classes for me. So working on figuring out what those are exactly going to look like. I also have extracurricular choirs. So I have extracurricular elementary, middle school, and high school choirs from grades 3 through 12 that we handle in addition to doing the fall musical and anything else that the kids decide they want to do, contests or performances or who knows what else. It's busy, but I love it. Like Katie said, just really passionate about doing this podcast for a lot of the same reasons. There's just so much turnover in small schools, but I feel so passionately that just because you're small doesn't mean that you can't be excellent. And some of the kids in the small towns need us even more. When our communities don't have music and arts just filling our communities, then we need to have it in the schools. And so I feel really strongly about supporting rural schools, about helping small town music teachers be successful and feel like they can stick with it for the long haul. Because I feel really strongly that we are not a stepping stone to something bigger and better, but that this is it's a really rewarding place to teach. And so hopefully our podcast can help you with that.
Yeah, so to kind of bounce off that idea from Laura, I just was reminded of the quote by Zoltan Kodály. It is far more important who the elementary music teacher is in a small town than who the director of an opera house is, because if the opera house director is not good, he will be dismissed in a year. But a poor music teacher in a small town can kill off the love of music for 30 years from 30 classes of children. This is an enormous responsibility. And that quote, I am continually reminded of the impact that I have in this town, in this school, and with, all these kids. We have roughly 800 kids, K through 12, but we are their music teachers. We are hopefully their inspiration for their future and what they want to do with that, whether it's they just have a love and appreciation for music or they want to be musicians themselves someday. But that's our job.
Indeed.
All right. So, if you are joining us and you are like fresh out of college, just got a job in, to quote the late great Professor Woodley at IU, in Waving Grass Plains High School in the middle of nowhere, you have roughly 20 kids in your high school band, and you're like, how the heck? How? What?
What,
Who?
what, what, huh?
Huh?
Well, first off, congratulations. You did
Yes.
it.
Yay.
Yay, you survived. And you are now gainfully employed. Congratulations.
We're also, so this section is kind of addressing like fresh out of college people. If you are someone who landed a job for the first time in a small town, small school, but you are not fresh out of college, this stuff absolutely still applies to you. We'll just have a different section kind of focusing on that in a minute. So first thing first, get connected with the old teacher if they left in a positive, happy scenario. I know sometimes that doesn't always happen, but ideally, they left of their own volition and are now, of their own choosing, and they're now still available for you to reach out and say, "Hey, what do I do?" Because in a small town, you will quickly find there are random festivals. There are weird occurrences all year. Quirky things like we get a Friday, the first Friday in October, we usually get off because that's the town festival. And that also means we have a performance and a parade to do. Oh, and also during that parade, you have to play the Star Spangled Banner. No one will tell you that except the students. Like a week before, and you're like, I'm sorry, who does
Mhm.
why?
Right.
Um, and yeah, so there's weird, quirky things. Any school has weird, quirky things, but small town schools a little bit more weird and quirky. So get connected with the old music teacher. If there are other music teachers, try to be their friend. I understand that personalities may not always mesh, but at least have a like friendly, helpful relationship with the current music teacher at your school if you have one. If you are the music teacher, which I know is the case for some of those out there, great. You know yourself well. So good job. Um, any music teachers around you. So I try really hard in our area to anytime there's a new teacher that has come in, I try to reach out to them and get connected with them and maybe like take them out to dinner or invite them to my house and say, "Hey, like come over, let's chat," especially if they're like brand new teachers. So if they don't do that, maybe try to reach out to them. If they're not willing to have that conversation, I'm sorry, and I hope that that changes for you soon. But keep trying.
Hey, reach out to us
Yeah.
if you really just need somebody.
Yeah, if you're like I need someone who knows what it's like to have a flute player and then that flute player didn't show up for the concert and then the whole piece was weird because the entire melody section was missing. Yeah. Reach out to us. We'll tell you our email in a second. Um Parents get to know kind of your parent booster organization if there's one that exists. If there's not one that exists, try to start one or at least just start emailing parents as soon as you have some of those emails and those contact names and say, hey, I'm the teacher here now. Let's have a meeting. Let's have a parent meeting. Get yourself organized. That will be really helpful for you, for the teachers, for everyone. Oh, there's so many people to know. Custodians, get to know them. Bake
Custodians.
them cookies.
The
Buy them
custodians
coffee. Like,
and the secretaries run the school.
they,
They run the school.
yes, be nice to
So
them.
be nice to them.
Um, any colleagues that seem like nice people? If you don't already have like music teachers in the building that you're gonna kind of already be connected with, find your people. I know we have a couple elementary teachers who were diehard band kids and music kids that are just wonderful, amazing people. We have other teachers that they were in the music programs when they were in school. Now their kids have been through the music program, so they're really good people to be around, and they just find people that bring positivity and happiness and light. And that isn't always the teacher's lounge. So, or maybe you did find a group and then it turned out not to be your group, and that's okay. You can change. Okay. So, yes, finding your people, reaching out to contacts, step
Step
one.
step one, yeah, absolutely. And um, I just to kind of build on that just for a smidge, I always just say like, you need to pick your battles, and I would say like if you help people, they're going to be much more likely to help you later on. So just as you get started out, like be helpful, reach out, be positive. Especially in small towns, small communities, it's going to be really important that people see you as someone that is pleasant, that is wanting to fit in, and not come in and like change everything immediately. Small town people tend to be very we like things the way that they are, and so just come in, get the lay of the land, figure out what is expected, and just go in with the attitude that you are ready to support and help and make things however you can make everyone else's life easier. And then later on, they're going to be much more likely to make your life easier as well. So that is well learned advice over many years. So after you've got to know some people, also you're going to need to get to know your room and your inventory. And so I mean that's kind of a general thing, no matter where you teach, right? So the first thing you're gonna be like, can I see my room, right? That's going to be a first thing.
What are the instruments that are here? Do
and
the instruments work?
absolutely right. I am really, we're both blessed. We have nice rooms. I have a huge room. My classroom used to be the band room back 30 years ago before they did an addition. So I have a huge classroom that I have plenty of space for not only seating but movement and storage, for all my things. But maybe that's the case for you, and maybe it's not. Maybe you have a very small space. Maybe you don't have storage. Maybe you have great ideas of getting, a whole set of Orff instruments, and but do you have a place to store that? And you'll kind of figure that out. But as you get ready to lesson plan, you need to know, like, do I have Orff instruments? Do I have boom whackers? Do I have a keyboard? Do I have a sound system? Do I have a smart board or a way to uh, display YouTube videos to show examples? What is your inventory and technology like? That's going to be a major thing you need to know before you start your first day of school.
If you've never used a smartboard, ViewSonic, whatever technology your school has, try to spend some time over the summer before the school year starts, just getting to know that and what it does, because that can be a really helpful tool. So our ViewSonics, we have ViewSonic boards here. I,
She is a ViewSonic board.
well, yeah. Um, anyway,
I'm not
so
bitter.
I can plug directly like into my computer. They can like air play, air Bluetooth, whatever. But the YouTube videos are super glitchy, so it's just better to hard plug in. Um, but I can do all that. I can also like it has a whiteboard function. I can figure that out. I can do, all kinds of different things. It has backgrounds I can put up, and it does have like staff paper backgrounds, which is kind of nice. But spend some time. So it's not like the first day of school and you're like, "What's this thing? What's it do?"
Mhm.
But yeah.
And so the other piece of this is finding out what is your budget. So as you need to buy new music, as you need to buy new instruments or anything that sound, if you need a sound system, if you need whatever, new erasers for dry erase boards, I don't know, finding out where does that money come from. So in my world, I actually have like three different accounts that money can come out of, and I'm kind of managing, how um, I have like a district account that we are given, X amount of dollars every year. We have like a vocal music, an instrumental music, and an elementary music that each have a line item amount in the district budget that we can spend out of. Um, that's awesome. It's money that they give us each year. Not every school gets that from my conversations with others, so I'm really thankful that our school gives that to us. Um, Downsides of that, it's a little bit harder to get to. Like, you either have to get an invoice, and some places want to do that, some places don't, or you have to pay for it out of your own pocket and get reimbursed. And at least at our school, for district funds, those all have to be school board approved. So that bill won't get paid until after that month's school board meeting. So that's something, it's a little bit slower of a process, but it's great to use. I also have an extracurricular account with the school that just get that random money travels in and out of. I use it for, like, when we do recorders and I'm collecting money from the kids for recorders, then I can deposit it into that, and then it's a little bit more fluid. But again, I'm working with someone at the school with purchase orders and all of that to use it. And then I have my booster account, that my choir booster account, that whenever we do field trips and fundraisers and all of that, the money flows through there. So um, your situation will likely be completely different. I think those are kind of the three categories, but who knows what yours will be. So one of the first things you're going to have to find out is, what is your budget? Where does the money come from, and how do you use it?
Yeah, that's a big one. In general, anything from the school that you use money for is going to have very specific rules attached to it, but anything that's like a booster account that's kind of separate, you can kind of have free reign and obviously don't buy like whatever because, you know, there's still rules. That can be a separate episode if you would like. But yeah. So, next steps, finding what are those expectations for performances? Do you have Veterans Day? Do you perform at Veterans Day? Is it the middle school? Is it the high school? Is it usually combined? Does someone have to play taps? Do you have town parades that you are expected to perform in, even if your band is three people large? Do you have,
Costume contest to
oh yeah,
organize.
do you have a Halloween costume contest to organize? That's maybe getting passed off, so no, no, I don't. Um, yeah, that's kind of a weird thing. Do you have a very specific fundraiser that people get really mad at you if you don't do, like selling taco in a bag at the basketball games? Like, um, what is your Christmas concert expectation? Do you have elementary performances? Do you have the courthouse ask you to come and sing during some specific performances? Are there community expectations? So, again, that's kind of going back to reaching out to former music teachers, current other music teachers. Hopefully, your administrators know the answers to that, but they don't always know the answer to that, and that's okay too. Um, I think we already talked about that point. So, we're going to move on now to the section of you are not a first year teacher, but you are new to small schools. And again, all of this information can still apply to first year teachers. It's just we're going to talk a little more specifically if you're coming from a different situation than your own, which as a first year teacher, you have your own high school band experience and you're likely coming from a larger program. So it's good. It's all good to listen to.
Yeah, so the first thing is I think just deciding what your expectations are going to be. And, if you're listening, I don't know where you came from. Maybe you're coming from another small school, maybe you're coming from a larger school, who knows? But um, decide what you want your priorities to be. And I think in a small school, especially starting out, unless you're walking into a unicorn of a situation, your expectation is not going to be that we're going to get gold division 1 at state contest. You're not going to win
Your marching band will not be,
state fair.
you know,
I don't
class
think.
A, number one. I don't even know because we don't do marching band. I don't even know what the classifications are. Your marching band will not be necessarily winning top number one awards.
Right. And so I think it's finding the expectations and finding those priorities and meeting those kids where they are and setting up your expectation of, like I said at the beginning, just because you're small doesn't mean you can't be excellent at what you do. So maybe if you're a choir director and you've been used to conducting, SATB DVC pieces and having 9 choirs that all meet during the school day, and now you have a choir of 12 that can do really well at 2-part, maybe 3-part music, that's okay. Sing that 2-part, 3-part music really well. Um,
Set your kids up and yourself up for success.
find those things that every day you all can leave each other feeling successful. And that's not that's not lowering your standards. That's adjusting your expectations to fit where you are, and to make your experience and these kids experience as best as possible, the best it can be, which will then keep them growing and keep them moving forward, in their musical careers.
Yeah, so kind of a quick point here. I don't think we need to spend too much time on this, but this is a completely new environment and ecosystem. But it's also kind of the same. Each school, obviously, to an extent, is the same. There's going to be the really cool social studies slash math slash whatever teacher that all the kids love, and you will never be as cool as them. Maybe you are the cool teacher, and that's great for you. Love that journey. That is not my journey. But the kids generally the same across the board. They're they're going to be the same to an extent, the same kids that you taught before, that you've seen in your student teaching, that you've seen in field placement. They're not gonna practice their instruments. They're not gonna, do things.
Mhm.
If you came from a situation or your previous experience was a really a upper middle class area where you had private lessons teachers come into school and teach you. Maybe most kids were able to afford or just had private lessons available to them and things like that. Small town schools, we do not have that luxury. Um, so if that's something that's really important to you, bring that in and find those people and try to get the funding for that as much as you can. Grants, talk to your admin, hound them, all those good things. But yeah, this is just a completely different place, and that can be really hard to remember. I have not had to switch jobs currently, but I know from hearing from others, it's kind of like your first year of teaching all over again. You have to learn a new system, you have to learn a new filing. What field trip forms, what budget constraints, what who is this superintendent? What does he care about? We've had several superintendents in our career, and each one just has different priorities, and it's just you got to find what makes them tick and how to stay on their good side. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think I feel like we've talked about most of this.
Yeah.
This is all a lot of the same, but I'll kind of come back to where I think smaller schools are really different from a larger corporation is the importance of relationships. The importance of relationships um, within the school community, as far as like with your colleagues, with all the support staff, with the teachers, with the administration. We all have to work together. You don't have a, a department where this department works together. No, like the whole school, and in our case, an entire pre-K through 12 building is working together collaboratively. Um, in those relationships, we are a small knit community, and man, when the social media starts flying, it can, oh, it can be crazy. And so keeping those relationships strong, and with your kids, my favorite thing about teaching in a small school is the fact that the kids that we teach in that I taught in kindergarten, and now the kids that we're teaching in preschool music are the same kids that I'm going to graduate as seniors. And what an incredible opportunity that we have to build those lifelong relationships with these kids, to be the ones to shape their music education, but also just their overall, like, their culture, their outlook on life and on school and their education.
I'm to the point now in my teaching career because I've taught for, I guess this is technically year 8. Um, but all the kids that I see walk across the stage at graduation, I have had at some point in my classroom
Mhm.
in some capacity, whether that was elementary music or I've had some middle school music classes along the way, or they've been in band at some point, but they have crossed my path. Sometimes there's a random new student that, anyway, the point is 95% of the students that walk across the stage at graduation have been my students. And that's a really kind of scary thing because me and Laura are their entire music education. They may take piano lessons from an outside person, but that's like maybe 5 to 10% of the kids. They might experience, going to a concert at IU once in their life. They might experience, some kind of other musical teacher somewhere someday. But in general, if they don't know something, it's because we did not teach it to them, which is awesome and terrible.
Yeah, it's really cool because whenever they do something well, you can be like, yeah, I did that. That's awesome.
When they do something wrong, I'm like, oh,
Oh,
Lord, that other music teacher didn't teach you, did she?
right. It is really, but it's also neat though, because
Yeah.
whenever Katie comes to me and says like, wow, our sixth graders really have trouble like playing their instruments, in rhythm or whatever, then that's like, okay, well, that's something that I can immediately start tweaking and making sure that we implement in those lower grades. And, whether whoever has it, we have our curriculum that we have created and designed. We can be like, okay, well, let's fix it then. And we are our own feeder programs.
Yes.
So that's
It's
awesome.
it's wonderful, it's terrifying, it's beautiful. So congratulations on getting a job if you did get a job. If you are just a college student and you're just finding this podcast because you like listening to podcasts and you want to hear other music teachers, good on you. I did not know very much about smaller. I thought I knew about small town because I was like, I was from a small town program. It was not the same, and that's okay. I learned a lot. Um, but I really like this community. I really like the place that I live. There's a lot of reasons why I've stayed. Some of those reasons are the kids and the community that I'm in. That it's just really great. It's really great to be here. So, if the school doesn't work out for you, give it some time. First of all, try your hardest. Meaning, like, go into the community, be a part of the community. If it's still not working, that's okay. You can change jobs, and that's okay. Um, the kids will survive. They will continue to thrive. But yeah, we hope this is helpful, and we hope you keep listening to us as we continue to put out more episodes. Summertime is going to be a little off and on, sporadic, just as we have traveling, we have things going on, and it's summertime.
as
We
we're
just chill.
as we're enjoying our summer,
Yeah.
because that's like a whole other podcast on balance and the fact that we enjoy our summers. So, but we will have some new episodes for you. So, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe.
Find us on, yeah, YouTube, Apple Podcast, Spotify Podcast, Podbean. That's a thing. Um, we are also on Instagram, small dot town music. You can email us smalltownmusicpodcast@gmail.com. Please like, subscribe, rate, review. Send us an email. Just say hey. We love to hear from you. Just like you, if you're feeling really alone and isolated, like reach out to us. We often feel that way too. We do not, contrary to popular belief, we do not have it all put together. Not that we give that, not that we give that appearance, but we we want to connect with you too. That's part of the reason why we did this. We want to connect with more small town music teachers. So give us a shout, and I hope to hear from you soon.